Some tips on holiday networking right now from a familiar voice on Morning Air on Relevant Radio. Dr. Tracey Wilen is a prominent thought leader on the impact of technology on society, on work, on our careers. She has been a scholar at Stanford University, leadership positions, Apple, HP, Cisco, and a number of others. The author of 11 different books. As a matter of fact, she is on a corporate speaking tour right now on the topic of 21st century careers, online at TraceyWilen.com. That link in our Morning Air Facebook page. Dr. Tracey, good to have you back on. We probably should talk one morning about 21st century careers, but over the next 6 weeks, I never thought of using a holiday party to network and to get ahead, because usually you're trying to escape the last year and just enjoy yourself and, not use a party as work. That's interesting. Now, have you done that? You must have done that.
Oh, sure. I think what a lot of people assume is that everybody shuts down over the holiday season, but a lot of companies actually run on a January through December budget system, and many companies are actually formalizing their budgets in November and December for hiring in January. And so the whole holiday season can become an incredible networking opportunity for those of us who are looking either for a new job or a job in general. And it's a nice time of year because everybody is in a different kind of mindset, happy to help, happy to see people, and much more social.
So at a time when companies are ramping up for the start of the calendar year, we're doing just the opposite when it's actually the perfect meeting of time and need. So at a party, how do you politely introduce that into the conversation?
Well, usually when you go to parties, if you just think about it, and when I encourage people over the holiday season, if you are looking for either job transitions or new opportunities, is make a plan and optimize how many parties you go to, because at the end of the day, it's people hire people, and people love to hire people who they know or have met because it adds to that familiarity. But yes, you can have an elevator pitch. So when you go to parties, most people ask, where are you from? What do you do? Do you live in the neighborhood? What gym do you go to? What schools do your kids go to? And it's a perfect opening line that everybody uses. And what you should do is just have a very simple response, because I think a lot of people, if they're anxious, and don't want to expose either that they're not working or they're looking, then practice just a simple line is, I've transitioned out of this company and now I'm looking for a marketing manager job, period. And make it very easy, because then you're creating an awareness quickly on what you want to do.
All right, well, let's do this in a real-life scenario. Do a little role play here with Dr. Tracey Wilen as we talk about tips for holiday networking. You come up to me at the party, and I'm just saying, oh, yeah, I've seen you when I'm driving by. I'm at the greenhouse all the way down on the corner. It's nice to meet you. So then how do you bring in the fact that you're transitioning?
Right, so you say, yes, it is wonderful to meet you. Have I met you before at the local gym or church, or, and who are you and what do you do? How do we know each other? I don't know the greenhouse, so you got me a little off there.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just saying, I'm the guy down at the corner. Or I suppose you would probably say, oh yeah, I see you drive by very early in the morning. Boy, you must work hard at what you do. And maybe that's a way to introduce work into the conversation.
Yes, and then you could respond and say, oh, yes, I've worked at this company for many years. They had a transition, and now what I'm doing early in the morning is looking for my next opportunity. You could even say at these firms or in these areas. So I'm looking for my marketing manager position, and I'm actually, positioning for companies like Best Buy or, Ann Taylor Loft or whatever. So it's just a smooth transition rather than the silence, right? So I think, and the way you can get to that is by practicing. If someone says to you, what do you do? How do you respond to that? Or if you want to flip the question and you go into a party, because Thanksgiving's coming up, right? So this is a great opportunity. You come to the meal. There's a lot of new people at the meal. Maybe you're as a guest, and you just walk around and say to people, "Hey, I'm new in the area," or "I'm joining this guest at dinner tonight. Who are you? And what do you live in the area? Do you live in the area? What do you do?" And then usually people respond and say, "Oh yeah, I do. I moved in here 2 years ago, and I work at this firm. What do you do? Where do you live?" And it becomes very natural.
We've learned from you, Dr. Tracey Wilen, and this is sunk in when you literally leave the house. Always be prepared for something. It's kind of like the Boy Scouts motto, but especially if you're looking for a career move, because you never know who you're going to run into. So as we take that theory and apply it to holiday parties that we may be going to at somebody's house, should there be a little prep session that we do before we leave the house or get into the holiday party season that will allow us to do this elevator pitch?
Yes. Well, number one is I think if you're truly looking for a job or opportunity, you want to maximize your contacts. The holiday season is a good one because if you just think about all of the activities, so make a list. Are you going to football games or going over people's houses to watch football games? You have Thanksgiving. Are you traveling somewhere? A lot of people talk on airplanes, buses, and trains. I can't tell you how many people meet their great contacts in Uber rides. That seems to be the new networking platform. Black Friday, people go out shopping. I actually had a woman turn to me while I was waiting online last year on Black Friday, and she said, I'm a technical recruiter. By any chance, do you know anyone who's looking for a job? And it took me totally off guard, and I said, congratulations to you. You're using the holiday shopping line as a way to network.
She just said this randomly to you in line?
Yeah, we were sitting, in
Wow.
line, and when you have a long line, so of course you start chatting with people.
Yeah.
Happens at airports, happens in stores. And somehow or another, it's like, well, I live in Silicon Valley, right? And then she just turned to me, she said, well, I'm a technical recruiter. Are you or anyone looking for a job? I've got this list of jobs. And it was amazing because
Wow.
let's face it, when you're a recruiter and you have job openings, you're going to try to close them. Recruiters don't care where they find their people or how, and you're sort of in this downtime creating a lot of synergy. And there's other places, the gym. There's a lot of. I work out a lot. You go down to the gym, and then you're finding people in the locker room, and they're talking about the holiday season, what they're doing. Work parties or work open, work closed. It just creates these environments where you can just dialogue, probably a little more freely than in a more rigid environment.
Sure. So just start a relaxed conversation in those places where it would be normal to have a conversation, and it falls under the umbrella of you never know.
Yes, it does. And I think the whole thing is, remembering that people hire people, and people hire people who they know. And so creating comfort with people can work to your advantage. And 70 to 75% of jobs are still secured through networking because it is about people. And the holiday season is a time of year where you will be in contact with many people and more people in a relaxed environment. So start to think about using that to your advantage by making lists of where to go, writing down names or collecting them on your smartphone, and following up with people in a friendly way. I usually follow up with people using LinkedIn as a way to just reconnect with them after the holidays. We met at a dinner, we met at a football game, we met at a holiday party. I just wanted to follow up with you and remind you that I'm looking for a job.
Dr. Tracey Wilen online at TraceyWilen.com. Follow her on Twitter at Tracey Wilen. We are talking about ways that you can network at holiday parties. 877-766-3777. If you need some networking tips, if you're trying to get to the next level and maybe you've just run into a wall or just this little speed bump that's preventing you from getting to the next level, get the expert opinion and advice from Tracey Wilen here. Let's talk a little bit about elevator speech. Sometimes we mention that and we don't define it. That's probably about 10, 20 seconds of a little speech about you. And that's okay. I think we can come up with that. But how do we really hone that? Who do we test it on? Do we test it on our wives, on our husbands, on our family members? Can they be objective? How do I really hone the skills of getting that 20 seconds that I might have in front of a decision maker to make sure that that's impactful?
Oh, sure. And so for, the elevator pitch gets its name if, you were stepping into an elevator with someone who you didn't know, but you realized that they were very significant, whether it's for a job move or a client, and you only have 30 seconds in that elevator to make a pitch. What would you say? Would you look at the floor? Would you look at the buttons? Or would you actually say something that they would walk out and maybe hold the door and want to get a little more of you? So I encourage people, it's almost like a Mad Lib. My name is blank. My role is or was this. I'm interested in this. So my name is Tracey Wilen. I'm a global speaker on the topics of technology, women, and careers. and I'm interested in, your next event opportunity at your company. Or are you interested in a global speaker for your next event? It's very simple, right? Practice. It's better than saying, oh, hi, how you doing? And then you let them walk out the door. So that's the whole idea about an elevator pitch. It should not be more than 10 or 20 seconds, and it should be rehearsed. You can rehearse it on anyone. I think feedback from friends and family is good, but mainly, practice in the mirror, practice, yourself, and have different elevator pitches. One for perhaps a job opening, one is if you bump into a client, one is if you bump into someone in your family, and maybe, you need to discuss something, cover up or, something sensitive at home. So you need to think about what are the statements that you make and make it crisp and clear and easy.
Dr. Tracey, whether it be the elevator pitch or someone we're talking to at even a neighborhood Christmas party, we don't need to be afraid to mention that we're looking for work, if it can kind of come up in the conversation. People are actually much more happy to help than we realize, aren't they?
Oh, yes. And Glenn, it's a very good question because, today when you look at the statistics, people will have 10 to 15 jobs in their lifetime and will be transitioned in and out of jobs at least 6 or 7 times. So all of us will experience the hiring, the layoff, the transition, the downsizing, and that's just a part of life now. And so we're constantly should be in a flow of looking for our next opportunity, whether it's inside of work or outside of work. And yes, you should not be ashamed or concerned that if you're not working at any time because everyone can identify with you. Your point about the holiday season is a good one. I think it is a time of year where people do, sort of ratchet back a little bit and have a lot more, they're relaxed in their approach and they do want to socialize and get to know people and will likely be more empathetic about your story. I wouldn't turn it into a job interview. I would just, make the connection, find things in common with people, and it doesn't have to be work-related. It can be kid-related. It could be church-related. It could be sports-related. And then follow up with them after the holidays and just remind them that you had a lovely time meeting them at the holiday event, at the church social, and that you're just checking in with them and just remind them who you are and, what you chatted about and what you're looking for.
And also, Dr. Tracey Wilen, don't underestimate just being yourself and being a nice person, because that can go a long way. Even though you may not know who that third person is, or you just may meet them very briefly, chances are they'll remember you. They'll remember that great guy at the party. He had this wonderful, he would fit in well here. You never know.
Yes, I agree that listening will have a higher impact than talking. And someone said to me that listen is just the silent respelled, right, using the same letters. So I would encourage people to actually have lists of questions to ask people. Find out about what they do. Find out about their lives as much as they're willing to discuss with you.
Sure.
Advice from them rather than talking. Remember to listen and be silent, because people will like you and remember you because you took the time to find out about them. And then you can still follow up after in the new year when the budgets are released in January and February and hiring begins, and they'll have a visual of you and remember you and say, oh, yeah, that was that really nice guy who asked me all about my family and friends. He was so nice. He was the guy with the red sweater. I remember him.
I would be the guy with the red sweater with the stain of the dip on it as well. You probably remember me from that. Dr. Tracey Wilen with a lot of common sense and great advice here about tips for holiday networking. 877-766-3777. If you need some of those tips or maybe need to get to that next level and might be stuck, get the great expert advice from Dr. Tracey Wilen here as we help you in your career at 12 before the hour on Morning Air on Relevant Radio.
Hi, I'm Wendy Weiss. Be sure to join us Wednesday for a special on-call house call with past president of the Catholic Medical Association, Dr. Kathleen Rabiel. The Abortion Non-Discrimination Act is before Congress and will be voted on in December. It's critical for the protection of healthcare workers from participating in activities to which they are morally opposed. It's a top priority for the USCCB. We'll talk about it Wednesday at 2 Eastern on Relevant Radio.
Amy's our chief financial officer. Whenever she's here, I always want to pray for finances, for providence, for this apostolate. And
Yeah.
I know I say this about a million times, but you got the toughest job in the network. You know, people say, how do you talk for 3 hours? That's not a problem for me, all right? Sitting in front of the numbers and saying, oh my gosh, you know, we got all these obligations. How's it going to happen? Prayerfully, God will be opening new markets for Relevant as well. And those are all souls. And I want to say everyone who's supported this apostolate in the past, you make the chaplet possible. You make this hour in which we can pray together so special, and we're grateful for your support. If you're a new listener, never have supported, or you really find value in what we're doing, we're asking you to help support us as well, especially if God has blessed you with capacity and you're discerning that. Check us out at relevantradio.com. I'm sure you can donate there or just call. So there you go, Amy. There's a plug for you. How's that?
Thank you.
It's a plug for all of us.
Relevant Radio is listener supported. Donate now by calling 1-877-291-0123. That's 1-877-291-0123. Morning Air Tech Guru Mark Mastriani.
If you already have the Relevant Radio app, update it. If you have never downloaded the Relevant Radio app to your smart device, do it today. I love the new app, the way it's laid out. You don't need to go to a separate app for a lot of the main Catholic activities of the day. The menu bar gives you about 20 different things you could do. It's so functional, so smooth and clear.
Update your smartphone or tablet to the all-new Relevant Radio app 2.0. It's in your app store.
Toddlers are utterly free, maybe too free. In the quiet moments after communion the other day, my 3-year-old repeatedly shouted, "I tooted." They don't care what people think of them. They actually don't really worry about anything. Who's going to pay the bills? Where's my next meal going to come from? They get in their car seats without asking, where are we going? They fall asleep in those car seats and wake up somewhere else and never wonder, what happened last night? That's because they know they have a father and a mother who love them and look out for them. So they're free to enjoy the ride. As we get older, we have responsibilities and stresses that pile up on us. But it's important to remember that we still have a Heavenly Father who loves us. And no matter how crazy things get, He's looking out for us. And from the eternal perspective, everything's going to be fine. You know what that means? It means we can enjoy the ride. This is Chris Stefanik. For more, visit relevantradio.com, keyword Real Life Catholic.
9 before the hour, it's Morning Air on Relevant Radio. The Academy for the Study of St. Ambrose of Milan at St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa is the premier research center for St. Ambrose in the English-speaking world. Learn more about this leading Midwestern university at www.sau.edu or by calling 800-383-2627. At 8 before the hour, it's John and Glenn spending time with Dr. Tracey Wilen, who is helping us get ahead, move to that next level in our careers, and using holiday parties to do that, how to network at holiday parties. So, Tracey Wilen, we get to the holiday parties, we make that connection. Now some of the do's and don'ts after that connection. Let's say I've met you at a holiday party and you are a recruiter for the technical world, and I'm thinking, okay, let me go home now on Facebook and find Dr. Tracey Wilen, and I'll send her a friend request. Do or don't?
Don't. I would do a LinkedIn before a Facebook. You know, Facebook for a lot of people is just for personal friends and family, not what I would say, just contacts. LinkedIn is more of the contact database, really, where you can make more professional links. And here's a little tip. On your smartphone, you can actually set up your own contact, almost like your own virtual business card, and you can share it with someone on site. So if someone says, hey, I'd like to keep up with you, you can do it right there and send your, what we call a virtual business card, either to their email or to their text. And people can do it back to you. And I like email because on LinkedIn, if you want to reach out to someone, having the email is a good way to get through the contacts.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's a way to get some very critical information that you may not be able to get, in any other way, or a way that's safe in a business sense.
Yes, and also I think in general, people still view texting as more personal and urgent, and emailing as easier for someone in business-wise to digest. So I would also email before I would text someone. So I think those are important things. But some of the do's could also be people do send out Christmas cards or holiday cards or New Year's cards on a professional level. Some do it for friends and family, and they might have Santas and family photos. But people do also send out business holiday cards. They're a different look and feel. Of course, they're not going to have pictures of you and your family, but that may be, if you're a Christmas card person, a way to keep up with people. I also encourage people to attend things. A lot of times when we're looking for jobs, we want to go into a hole and stay home, and rather find more opportunities. Number one, it's a festive time of year. It's a joyous time of year. It's the birth of Christ. It's very exciting. So get out there and, go to church events. I go to the store events just to get excited about seeing Santas and lights, And so I think that's important to keep your spirit and your mind up. And you never know. I just find that people are much more social during the Christmas season, even when they're eating in a restaurant or in some sort of social food setting, because it's just such a nice time of year.
Sure.
On the work side, just some things there. A lot of people do take time off during the holidays. So if you're working in retail, if you're working in types of environments where there's after hours, graveyard shifts, nights and weekend openings, and you want to make an impression on people, boy, I'll tell you, volunteering, to do extra hours or overtime during a holiday season means even more to managers than it is just during the regular season. And I do remember when I was trying to get into the job market and I took on retail jobs, I always volunteered to work New Year's Eve, Christmas Day, to offload other people, and it was, positively remembered. So I think those are some other things that you can do.
And some of the other don'ts, I would suppose, is just really common sense at the holiday party. If you're networking, is not to imbibe too much and to, keep the conversation joyful, so they remember you as a joyful person, as a happy person, not being necessarily gregarious, and keep away from some of the hot button issues which may dominate a conversation.
That's right. So if you have the opportunity to go to parties and you know that you are looking for a job and you want to be positive, remember, then I would not drink too much. I would, be a very positive, just think about what you're wearing, think about how you're acting. This is all about personal brand that we've talked about before.
Sure.
As you walk in the door, what is that brand? What are people's impression of you? And it's going to be from when you walk in the door throughout how you act that evening or that day at that event. I think, again, as we talked about, listen to people. You start the conversation and have it focus on others rather than on yourself, because it will have that positive remember. I wouldn't say don't be shy. You can certainly have that elevator pitch handy so you can quickly state, what your skills are, your experience are, so that you will be remembered. And you remember not to be insensitive, that you may be at an event, politics inevitably comes up, sports may come up, so be sensitive about that. You may not have common beliefs.
Sure. And also, even though you may be going into familiar territory, you never know who might be at that party. So you're right. Leave the Christmas sweater at home. Don't wear those antlers into the party on your head, because, you just never know.
That's right. Although I tell you, these Christmas sweaters are becoming very popular now. And so, but yeah.
I changed my outfit now.
Yeah, no, could that possibly, well, wait a minute. Maybe I'm all wrong here. Could that possibly be a conversation starter to have the crazy Christmas sweater?
Oh, well, the crazy Christmas sweaters are very popular right now when everybody tries to outdo each other. So that one may be okay. Maybe the antlers on the head won't work.
Yeah, leave the antlers, right, exactly. Great advice from Dr. Tracey Wilen online. Sorry, Glenn, at TraceyWilen.com, and some tips for getting ahead and for holiday networking. Just great common sense from Dr. Tracey Wilen. We'll put her website up on our Morning Air Facebook page. If we don't speak to you before Christmas, have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And thanks for the advice, Dr. Tracey Wilen. Always good to have you on.
Thank you very much.